What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Weapon Collective. Back down in the Gat Cave, kind of spur of the moment. I wasn't planning on filming anything today, but then a little stroke of luck and happened to receive shipment of 3 guns that I had modified by Monsoon Tactical. Why don't I make a video going through all the guns that Monsoon Tactical has modified for me? Some of those were in my 2011 video, but some of these are striker fired guns, and those were obviously not in that video. After receiving those 3 new ones today, I figured let's dedicate an entire video to Monsoon Tactical. If you don't know about Monsoon Tactical, they're a company out of Ohio that modifies handguns, and well, they'll modify firearms in general, but typically handguns, they do fantastic work. But before we get into the guns, let me just go over why would you modify a handgun? What are you doing? You can do a lot to a handgun. It just depends on your preference. What I like to do for the most part is first thing I'll do to a gun is I'll put a red dot on it, I will put a light on it, and I will put a magwell on it. This is a stock Glock 19 Gen 5 MOS. And I did put a red dot on it and a magwell. So the red dot, obviously I'm faster, better shooter with a red dot than I am with irons. So that's the first thing I do. Why do you put a magwell on there? Well, me, 2 reasons. A magwell, this little piece around the base, if you don't know, I do that for 2 reasons. First, it creates a funnel that you can insert a mag much easier, and it doesn't have to be quite as precise. It'll guide it in there if you kind of miss. And then second of all, this little lip right down here gives somewhere for this pinky to go. And then it creates pressure between the trigger guard and that pinky on the end of the magwell, giving me a better purchase on the firearm. Particularly on a gun like a Glock 19 with a shorter frame. That grip on here is just a little short. Having that magwell with that lip, creating that pressure, much better grip on the firearm. But that's the absolute basics. And there's a lot more you can do. Some functional, some a little more aesthetic. And I kind of combine the 2 in most of these guns. So let's start with the 3 guns that I got back today from Monsoon Tactical. Okay, the first one is the most basic of all of them because the only thing I did was barrel porting. And that is going to be this Langdon Tactical Beretta 92G Elite. This is an awesome little firearm. It's got a 4.7 inch barrel. And this is like a multi-modified gun. Came from Beretta, and then Langdon got it and did their magic to it. And they were one of the first that I was aware of that was able to start putting red dots on the Beretta. And then Monsoon Tactical came out with their Beretta porting. So I sent this to Monsoon to get the barrel ported. You can see these 3 little holes up here on each side of the barrel. And unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to shoot this yet because I just got it back. But I am very anxious to because it's going to be quite the shooter, I'm sure. We can go through it. I've got a Holosun 508T and a Streamlight TLR1HL, and then the Monsoon Tactical barrel porting. This is a very cool gun. Has a decocker on it, meaning if you have that hammer back, you can hit this little guy right here and safely decock the gun instead of what a lot of us have to do with other hammer fired guns, and that's hold that down and ever so delicately release the hammer. Let me show you another Beretta. This isn't from Monsoon, I just thought of this, but what you can do, so that's kind of the basics of what you can do to a Beretta, and then getting as kind of crazy, this is the craziest you can get with a Beretta, is you can get the Blackbeard Customs. This is called the Sunken Ship, which is so cool. Looks like it's been sitting underwater and rusting. This one is ported as well. Little different porting. So I am interested to see the difference between how these two shoot with these side ports from Monsoon. And then this is from a company called Blackbeard Customs, appropriately making it look like a pirate ship gun. Very cool. This thing is fun to shoot as well. And just the Cerakote alone, that is some artistic stuff right there. But I get sidetracked. This is a Monsoon Tactical Gun. Put the Blackbeard away. We'll dedicate a different video to that. I did just want to show you what you can do, and this is just this is entry-level basics as far as what you can do to a handgun. The second gun that I got back from Monsoon today is this Archon Type B Gen 2, and this thing turned out just fantastic. I love it. And one thing I'm really stoked on is I haven't had this done on maybe one other gun that I have from Monsoon, but he put that laser engraved Monsoon logo on there. But it's this arid cam pattern Cerakote job, which is just gorgeous. And then I did Lucky 7 barrel porting on there. So you got these 7 little barrel ports on top, which is essentially redirecting the gas to vent out the top here. It reduces the felt recoil by reducing that muzzle flip. Archons are already good shooting guns, and now with the barrel porting, it's gonna be so fun. And this stipple job, those borders on this are just so precise and so amazing. You'd think it was done by a machine, but Vinny down at Monsoon is just a wizard and does this all by hand and does such a fantastic job. And until you try to stipple a grip, you have no idea how hard it is. Because if you don't know, you're essentially taking a Dremel, cutting these borders out, and then you're taking a soldering iron with different tips and just melting that polymer into the desired texture. It is more of an art than anything. It is amazing what some people can do. I suggest you try it. Other than that, I've got an Aimpoint Acro P2 and a Surefire X300 Turbo on here. And this is the Archon Type B Gen 2. And then lastly, if you have seen my 2011 collection video, I sent this gun away just before I made that video. So unfortunately, it didn't make the video. But now it's got its own little presentation today because I'm very excited to get it back. And that is going to be Type A Firearms EG11. This is a double stack 1911, 2011. Originally, this thing was kind of a multi-shade FDE, and I saw, actually I'm going to tell you where I kind of stole this from. If you go on Triarch Systems website, Triarch Tri 11 in 10mm on their website, and it is basically in this color scheme. I saw that and said, all right, I've done enough camos and other patterns that let's do something a little more conservative. And I went with that. I think it turned out really, really great. Looks beautiful, sexy, and simple. Did the Cerakote and the Lucky 7 barrel porting, but obviously with these metal grips, you're not going to stipple that. That is all I did. But I have a Trijicon SRO and a Surefire X300 Turbo on this. This is a 5-inch gun, and I'm very anxious to shoot this one too. I shot it before and loved it, but now I am just chomping at the bit to go shoot this thing. This is the Type A Firearms EG11. So those are the 3 guns that I got back today. So I'm going to take you through the rest of the guns that I've had modified by Monsoon. And if you have seen my 2011 collection video, some of these will be repeats. Obviously, there were no striker fired pistols in that video. How about we go through all the ones that I had in the 2011 video, and then we'll finish with all the striker fired. This is a Staccato C2 in this Poppies of War pattern with the Lucky 7s. And I'm going to go through these fairly quickly because they've been in a previous video. But that is the Staccato C2. And then there's another C2. This one is just in the multicam Alpine. I've got Trijicon RMR CC and a Surefire X300 Turbo, Monsoon Stipple Job, Cerakote, and Lucky 7s. And then there is the Staccato P in Poppies of War. This is a 4.4 inch gun with the Lucky 7s and a Holosun 507 comp on here. This is a huge red dot, very cool. And this is a Gen 1 staccato grip, so you can't do quite as much as far as stipple job goes, but still, I do love the two-tone on there. And then X300 Turbo from Surefire, and that is the Staccato P. And then alternatively to the Lucky 7 barrel porting, this is the first gun I ever did from Monsoon. And this one has their Genghis comp, which is a chunk port, which is more of a compensator, venting all that gas out the front. And I just think personally that the Lucky 7s shoots a little softer. I did this first and then I did a Lucky 7, and everything after that has been Lucky 7s for me. This is in that urban cam. I've got an Aimpoint Acro P2 and a Surefire X300 Ultra. That's the Staccato P. And then I have this last one. This is a Staccato P Heritage Edition. It's a 4.15 inch barrel, a little shorter. And this one, I've got a Trijicon RMR HD optic on it and a Surefire X300 Turbo. And then the Lucky 7s with the stipple job. And this is the Gen 2 grip, and so is the urban cam. And you can just do a little more cooler undercuts and everything with the stipple. A little more options on this second generation staccato grip. This pattern I saw on an agency gun. It's called Berserker Cam, and I love it. And lastly, for the guns that have already been shown in my 2011 video, is this Oracle Arms 2311. And this, if you don't know, if you haven't seen my 2011 video, this gun is really cool. It's kind of a hybrid of a double stack 1911 and a Sig Sauer P320. It runs P320 magazines, but is a hammer fired gun, kind of a mix between a 2011 and a P320. Very cool. And then I did do Lucky 7s with this killer Arid Cam Cerakote on there, Trijicon RMR, and a Surefire X300 Ultra, and an amazing stipple job. I love that that pattern goes down to the Magwell as well. Just nailed it on this. That's the 2311 from Oracle Arms. Okay, so those I went through very quickly because those are the guns that I've already shown in a previous video. If you haven't seen my 2011 video and were interested by those, go check that video out. I'll warn you, it's a little on the long side, but there is a lot of very cool guns in there. And we only got a few more to get through here. This won't be all that long of a video, but the first striker fired gun I ever had Monsoon do was this Gen 3 Glock 17 in this urban cam. Did a great job on it, but I might have got a bit overzealous on this one, because I had him do the Lucky 7s and then these window cuts with the side ports, which made this thing incredibly soft when you shoot it, but very particular about the ammo. If you don't have the right ammunition, this gun just doesn't want to cycle. Very cool, but maybe a little overzealous on my part. It is in that urban cam with this Aimpoint Acro P2 and Surefire X300 Turbo, and then I did put a Timney Alpha trigger in it, which is a vast improvement from the stock Glock trigger. Just got to make sure you got the right ammunition. On the other hand, this one is a Glock 47 that I had him do in this frog skin multicam. And this one I just did the Lucky 7s. This thing is not partial to ammunition. This thing will just run. I did put the same Timney Alpha trigger in it. Got a Trijicon RMR and a Surefire X300 Turbo. This thing is awesome. That stipple job that they do, especially with this little Monsoon Tactical logo in there, I dig it. So cool. But that is the Glock 47. And lastly is another Archon Type B that I did in this crazy 80s splatter pattern. Looks like it just got spray painted. Maybe not for everybody, but like I said, you can have fun with Cerakote, and I like stuff like this. Just different. You don't see this very often, and I think it is very cool. Lucky 7s and Trijicon SRO, and then a Streamlight TLR 7A. So that is the Gen 1 Archon Type B. Okay, that's my entire collection of Monsoon Tactical modified pistols. They do such awesome work, and I just think it's so much fun to A, have a better shooting handgun, and B, just personalize it, make it mine. And I already have an emotional attachment to these guns, but after you modify it and personalize it like that, that emotional attachment is even stronger. I love it. These guns are so fun. Working on the guns is fun. Picking all this stuff out is fun, but shooting them is the ultimate reward. If you don't know about Monsoon Tactical, go look into them. They do such great work. Vinny is an artist. And I'm Jeff for the Weapon Collective, reminding you to keep your weapons collected and keep collecting your weapons. I'll catch you next time.